All right, here's a quick demonstration of the Matsiko solution. So this starts with the mobile device. So I'll pull that up. The first thing we notice the Capture on the Go app right over here. So we'll go in there. And after we log in, the app has several things inside of it. There's a library area, there's a repository where you download new things. In this case, the document that we use for Matsiko is the for Children's International is in the templates, which means it is a document that lives on the form. It does not have to be downloaded after it's been downloaded the first time. It can spawn new versions of the form from the device with no internet connection, hence the plus sign. So we're going to add a new version of the form here. You'll see it gives it a name. You could change that and make it anything. When this pulls up, we can see the form is laid out based on the document that's used in the field. If I turn this sideways, it also shows that it changes its orientation based off of the optimized width. So if the width allows for things to be displayed side by side, it does that. Okay. John Doe. Some school, say grade is 12. Date of birth, say, there you go. No child number at the moment. We're going to leave that blank for a reason in a bit. Now here you'll see there's 3 cities that pop up underneath, but if I start typing Monrovia, notice how it finds that. That's a smart fill based off of the locations where Matsiko Children's International does offers their services. For the country, this could be made a little smarter so that it does it as a pair, but in this case, what we're doing is I'm using the same kind of smart list. And down here, we'll throw in some sports. Okay, on the talk to text, all right, so this is the talk to text section. You can just type in here, which would be most of the time what you would probably do, depending on how noisy it is. But if it's not too noisy, you can use this feature, and it'll work the way that the device is set up. So if your device is, this is not our feature, this is the device's feature. So I'm doing this on an iPhone. iPhone has this ability. If you were doing this on an Android, it would be using their ability. But it's worth noting that you can rely on that. So let's go ahead and start this. John Doe lives with his mother and father. They are older now, and as such, he has to stay at home with them for part of the day. Since he's not able to work as much and he desires to focus on school, he is asking for assistance from the community, period. Now you can notice that this isn't perfect, right? Because this is talk to text, so it doesn't have some of these things. But you'll see that in the review process, we can go in and make edits to that as well. And as your users get more comfortable with it and using it, they can do quite a bit more. Also, this should be based off of the person whose phone it is. So iPhones, at least, I don't know about Android, but they learn from how you speak. So if you speak in a specific way and the phone has been calibrated towards your speech, whether you have a hard accent or something similar, that should compensate for that. The same thing is true for speaking in a different language. The main thing is the phone would not do a translation from one language to another. That would require a connection to something like Google Translate. It could be built out into the solution, but it would be a separate project because it needs to be done after the data is returned back from the field. So you could have, you could take the text and run it through a Google Translate service if you knew what the language was, and then get a returned version in English essentially. So that is something that you could do, but you'd have to build that out. Or we could build it out for you, but it's not a part of the typical scope. So here is an area we're supposed to choose a photo or take a photo. Notice that there is a take now, which engages the camera, or there is a library function. So if I do take now, I'll turn this around, turn it this way. Hello. there's a picture, and then it allows us to do some editing potentially, but you can also turn that off. Then I'm going to add in another one, but at this time I'm going to do a library selection. And so I'll just go in and pull a picture from here. There's Ron. That's fine. Okay. And then let's put one more. There. Okay. There's 3 pictures, and then we'll do the geolocation information. This could be used to do more things, but for now we're just focusing on getting that information so you could use it later if you needed to. Effectively, you can do a lot of different things with this data, but most people just need to capture it at the time that the form is used so that if there's ever a question about where the form was filled out, you could go back and look it up. All right, I'll submit this through for processing. Okay, so that gives us a full process on, there we go, close that, and then I'll refresh this. You can see our list. This is the browser view of the portal for Matsiko Children's International. And on the left, you have a review queue where everything ends up. And you can see right down here, it says John Doe, Monrovia, et cetera, the date that it came in. So this is a list of all of the forms that need to be processed. So let's take a look at the one we just did. Just by clicking on this, it opens it here in the second frame. And now the form looks the same, except the fields are darkened and we have a green font on this. That is to show us that it's a new editable area. I can throw a child number in here. So I'll do JD111, click outside of that. And then you can see we've got Monrovia, Liberia. Now this is the data that was entered in for the talk to text. Notice that this says John Doe lives with his mother and father. They are older now, and as such, she has to stay at home with them for part of the day since he's not able to work as much, and he desires to focus on school. Period. Actually, wait. No, I think that's a comma there, and then over here we would do like that. There you go. Since he's not able to work as much and he desires to focus on school, he is asking for assistance from the community. Then down here it says, now notice this part I did not, this is actually based off of his answers that he provided. Notice you don't see the same fields for his favorites, right? Here it says John loves soccer and studying math. His favorite foods are pizza. He is currently attending some school at some school, and that was based on the way that I created this. It could be tweaked. Should see at some school. That's what it was called. So. So what we've done there is it's essentially a combination of things, but the most important thing there is that it is giving you auto corrections in the browser. That's based off of your browser settings, but you can certainly use that. So it is helping you to produce quality prepared content for your physical output. Now down here I have some different pictures. If I float on them, it shows me which one I'm about to potentially select on hover. Here I'm selecting this one because I think it's the most accurate photo. Those other ones are not me. Then here's the geolocation timestamp, which could be edited if it needed to be, or you can make that not editable, totally up to you. Then the date down here, which again could be edited if it needed to, but it can also be set to not be edited. And I'm going to submit this through. Now, when I do that, that's confirming that this is essentially prepared for print. Now, what that's going to do is down here, it's going to create a new section called Print Approved. And you see 2 things here. The reason there's 2 is there's a PDF version and there's an HTML version. It is possible to add something that will filter these so that you don't look at them all the time, so that if you want to hide the HTMLs and just see the PDFs, you could do that too. But let's take a look at the PDF. So this is the singular version output that you can see here. Take a look at this, right? And we can see it's got Monrovia. It's on the Monrovia source backing. And then we've got the data that we added in, entered on here. So John Doe, date of birth, et cetera, et cetera. And then down here, it's the Liberia Monrovia. And here's some information about Liberia Monrovia. Now this would be variable. For this demo, I only have the Monrovia backing, so they all say Monrovia on that part. But we could, we could potentially create this whole thing, but I believe these are created by the marketing team, which is great. It makes it a little bit more straightforward, if you will. So it's definitely recommended that we do it that way. On here as well, we would potentially we would potentially be able to put any shape photo here for this demo. I'm just choosing ones that are a little bit taller, but if you wanted to use other ones, it would be pretty easy to just place any shaped photo here and then just make sure that the backing element, we can make it look like it's like if this isn't here, there's not a photo sitting there that needs to be covered up. I can create a version of that to show you it if we need to, but let's go to another one. Let's create a few more of these. I'm just going to jump through and pick a picture and then submit just to get some things pushed through. Here we go. I'll pick this one, submit that. And then here's another one. I'll pick Ron on this because when we look at the output, you'll see that it is oddly shaped in relation to the backing image that is actually present on the samples we got. And that's what I was referring to. We would change it so that that's not visible, but okay, let me refresh this. I'm also going to set, I would also set an auto refresh so you can see this. So now you see there's a lot of these and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 PDFs. I'm going to do one more. Let's do Steve Jobs. And we'll do this and Steve Jobs for today. Okay, now we'll refresh one more time and we should see, basically it looks like 10 documents, but there's half of them are PDFs and half are HTML. And then I'm going to hit generate combined print approved PDF. What this is going to do is it's going to take each of these PDFs, okay, and it's going to create an output for a combined output that is 2 up because the client, these are actually half letter size, so we want 2 per page. Let me also find one of these, I think it was Clementine's. Let me show you the picture I was talking about. See here how this picture is not quite the same shape as the one underneath? What we would recommend is that the backing is created without any picture there. That way we have the flexibility to put any shaped picture, but we could also, if the marketing team can't fix that, we could, but we would recommend that it's done on the marketing team side just to keep things simple. But I wanted to make sure you got to see that so you could see what the difference is. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say create combined PDF, combined print approved PDF. All right, so here we have the output of those 5 documents. So you can see here Albert Einstein and John Doe. And we've got the backings, Bruce Wayne and Steve Jobs. And then the last one's really interesting. This one's important. So the last one shows the document on the back on the other side. The reason is this is flipped from page 5 to page 6 on the left edge, meaning that what you see over here, this is the back of the page. So this is showing us that this Monrovia backing lies on the back side of this here. So that's why it's done this way. This is the 2 up in position. So it's important to see. So that gives us an overview of the full output. Now from here, how do you create the physical output, right? You could download this and email it to someone if you wanted. Right here, you can also say, I want to print it, and I could choose whatever printers I have on my device. So you could print this out to a physical device, and then if you're printing it this way, you would cut it right into those. Also, it's worth noting that this order is, it's important to understand what the order is. The order of these is Albert Einstein, then Bruce Wayne, then Clementine Poppy, and then it goes back up, and the right-hand side is then John Doe, then Steve Jobs, right? And so it's noteworthy that the stack is cut that way, so that when you prepare these, if there's an order that matters for mailing, etc., we can control the order and ensure that it ends up a certain way. In this case, it's alphabetical, but it could be done differently, so it's noteworthy. All right, this gives you an overview of the full system. Please let us know if you have any additional questions.